This is my 1934 Singer 9913, which is an electric machine, and this one runs with a Kneebar, which fits into the base of the case right here. Here's the Kneebar. And this machine, I'm really shocking myself today. I may be converting this machine to a hand crank, and that's not overly shocking in one way, because I've converted a lot of machines from electric to hand cranks. This machine is different though. This was my grandmother's machine, and this machine sewed my mother's baby clothes when she was an infant. And my grandmother and grandfather used to hire a professional seamstress to make my mother's dresses. And when the woman passed away, her family gave the sewing machine that the seamstress had used to my grandmother. And my grandmother then used it until she was in her 80s. She might have been around 85. She lived to be about 91. And this is obviously a family heirloom, and I am having a huge dilemma over this, because I love this machine, and I had always said I'm going to keep it just the way Grandma had it. And I have done that for at least maybe 10 years. I've probably had the machine 10 years. She gave it to me when she was in her 80s. And then, like I said, she passed away at 91. I've had it at least 10 years. And I've always said that I would keep it forever, just like Grandma used it, and just like the seamstress used it to sew my mother's baby clothes. My mother had beautiful organdy dresses and all these beautiful lace outfits when she was an infant. You know, and we people don't do that anymore. A lot of us don't dress our children so finely. And so there's more of a history with this machine, and that's why I wanted to keep it original. But let me explain why I might switch it to a hand crank. I can always put a new motor on it. I can keep it in running order the way it is. But I sat down to use it today, and I'm going to move the camera over a little bit. The other day when I was using it, the tension was off just a little bit. So I knew I had to fiddle with the tension. And I sat down to use it today, and there may be other people that run into the same thing with older bentwood case Kneebar machines. The tension is kind of okay. I might still have to adjust it. Running a machine with a Kneebar is not my favorite way to use a machine. The advantage is it's electric, so you can use both hands to guide the fabric. But this particular machine, even though it's in wonderful, beautiful condition, it sews a little bit slower than it seems it should be. So it's from 1934, and I'm thinking, alright, maybe I have to look at another motor, maybe it's got a new belt on it, it's got new cords. So, but it could be the wiring in the controller. There are a few things it could be. And at the same time, I've been looking kind of at getting a Singer Model 20, which is a small, it was originally a toy chain stitch machine. And it's a hand crank, and I'm thinking to myself, why get a Model 20 when you've got Grand's 99? But let me run it for you and show you something. See how it doesn't start up right away, and that bothers me. The Kneebar, I'm moving the Kneebar about an inch to the right, and it should be running already, and it doesn't. But it runs fine. And being the age that it is, I shouldn't be complaining at all. It's shaking the camera, it runs so well. It's a very, even though these are 3/4 size machines, the 99s, it's a very solid, heavy machine. And you really couldn't ask for a better machine in a lot of ways. They've got the engineering and the whole wonderful sewing machine thing coming from Singer in the old days, and it's a small 3/4 size machine. It weighs less, especially if you remove the motor, the controller. If you have a hand crank on it, you can carry it around in one hand, grabbing it under here. This one has excellent decals. So my dilemma is, it also takes all the low shank accessories. I have a buttonholer, a zigzagger, a blind stitch attachment. I have the darning ring, the sock darner. I have a full set of regular attachments. I have everything I could wish for with this machine. And again, I'll show you again, because maybe I'm just being a little bit, two things. Maybe I want to make this more my machine, and I usually prefer hand cranks or treadles. And the other thing is, maybe overall long term, it's better as a hand crank, because with a hand crank you don't need to be near a plug, you don't need to worry about your electricity, you can use them anywhere, especially the smaller machines. Some people take them on their boats or their campers. You can really take them anywhere. So I'm only making this video, and you might laugh at me, but in a way for me to watch the video myself and get some feedback from the way the machine is running. And obviously it's a beautiful little machine, but if I watch myself sew with it a little bit, I'll be able to pick out, well, gee, if I were hand cranking that, would I be doing this differently? Would I be doing that differently? And I do think that other people that come across vintage or antique electric machines, especially if the wiring is bad, the wiring on this is fine, but if the wiring is questionable at all, you'd also be asking yourself, well, gee, can I make this into a hand crank, or do I need to rewire it? So that is why I'm making this video, and all of you wonderful people get to watch me sew with a 99 for a few minutes. It does so beautifully. Once you get it going, and that's what bothers me a little bit, is that it's a little bit sluggish, and I do take care of it. It makes a beautiful, beautiful stitch. I mean, I have pictures, I think, still of my mother as a baby in these beautiful dresses made with this machine. And there's always an emotional dilemma when it's a family heirloom. But practically, if I do convert this to a hand crank, it'll be like a machine you can almost stick in your pocket, because, like I said, you can just pick it up and take it wherever you're working. So that is my video for today on the Singer 9913.